Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope everybody is well. And this train of news regarding
Hey
Deshaun
everybody, how you
Watson
doing? I hope everybody
and
is well.
Tony
And
Buzbee
this
and everybody
train
else
of
that's connected with this
news regarding
um, matter just seems to keep uh, growing. And the latest is this series of text messages that was issued and purported to show Deshaun Watson in a bad light, um, basically asking for a potential massage therapist client to dress a certain way, and then showing a copy of what they would have you and I believe was a plane ticket, you know, from Houston to Atlanta. And so that has gone around, and it caused in this a reaction from a woman named Jasmine Brooks. First of all, before I go to her response, let me show you what I am referring to here in this right now. And this is the one of the articles, one of the posts. So not so much articles, but new troubling Deshaun Watson texts emerge. And this is in the wake of Tuesday's press conference at the Buzbee law firm, where we were presented with Ashley Solis and her testimony of how she claims Deshaun Watson essentially took advantage of her role as a massage therapist to take sexual steps, if you will. I want to keep this clean, that were outside the bounds of what she felt was appropriate. And she made a number of claims, among them that she said her business had suffered, and that she was unable to get clients in the same way. I actually and others investigated that claim, and she has had clients up until last week. But then something else emerged, and that's from this post that you see that I'm about to scroll through, which once again tries to make it look like Watson sent text messages that would paint him in the guise of a person, an NFL player, quarterback, basically trolling for therapists to have inappropriate relationships with. And this publication, for example, reads, Watson has been accused of inappropriate behavior by 22 women, all of whom work in the wellness industry in some capacity. And first of all, that's not true, because until Mr. Buzbee trots out all 22, as someone like Gloria Allred would do, as opposed to one, which he did do, that this claim cannot be made. But I digress. It says, this week a series of disturbing text messages, public, each of which continues to paint a dark picture. That's what it reads, okay? And it says, it reads, it's likely that these text messages, to some degree, contributed to the decision by Watson's corporate sponsors to cut ties. And then this goes on to say the texts speak for themselves. Something like this is fine. It's hot in here. In the way these are designed, okay, they are once again screenshots that purport to be text messages. Some of them here, and they take bits and pieces of of exchange. Like, for example, guys do this is disgusting. Yep, I'm very proud of her. Just IMK me if she wants me to meet, talk with him. It's him, normally the one who coordinates with his therapist when I can't make it due to the issue, actually. So I am very close to his team. I will ensure his team handles him. I'll be talking to her tomorrow. I'll let you know. Thanks. Sounds good. Have a good night. You too. And then it breaks and it says, is it Texans? It sucks, but just like a regular client, in my experience, usually try the first time, then stop. If it's Deshaun, I'll call his manager or agent on behalf. I mean, you don't know the real context of this, okay? But it's being put forward, and it says, my advice to her would be to know that she did nothing. It's not her fault. These guys are used to never being told no, and women throw themselves at them daily. It's easier said than done, but shake it off. There's nothing she could have done to deter it. Now, what exactly does that mean? And then it says then it breaks and there's another one. All right. So this goes on, and then there's another one that says block them. It's all put together to form a narrative that is negative to Deshaun Watson. And these are separate. Okay. So all of this, like, for example, I know this is crazy. I told you to stop working with me a while. All right. This all came to the attention of a woman who is a massage therapist and was a client, or whether they had Deshaun Watson as a client, and it is this person, and her name is Jasmine Brooks. At her Instagram page, this is what she put up. And I have put these all together, both in the description. I'm going to read them to you right now what this reads in its entirety. It forms one page. Hey guys, I'm sure many of you are aware of the recent news regarding Deshaun Watson, an athlete I formerly worked with, and many have heard my name mentioned in evidence manipulated to be used against him. The following post serves as my statement regarding the allegations and misinformation that has been circulating around the media. And to me, see if I can pull up the screenshots so you can better see these. One moment, so you can better get a glimpse of each and every one that I'm reading. I do happen to have them up and for you to see. And so it is, and one moment, please. Let me go back to here and then come up and open these. There's a lot of information here to absorb in this entire, for want of a better term, situation, right? Screenshots, making sure that I had these as, one moment, let me try this another way. And to pull these up. And let's try this entirely other way so that this will work. Open this. Open, waiting about 25 seconds for this to open. Bear with me. It does open. I hope your day was a great one. And this does feel like a hump day, doesn't it? It's Wednesday. Now, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Try it. Okay. And then open recent. And here we are. Okay. I will go in reverse order with the first one. Okay. And I'll show that here. And let me do this. See if it allows me to go to the library. It does not. How about this entire screen? I'll go back here, and what I'll do is this. I'll go to it and I'll freeze it, and then that way. All right, so there is that, and then there's the freeze here. All right, so let's stop. Let's start here. And it should, let's see here. It should show the freeze. It does not. Let's try that again. There, which you should see, right? Okay. And it should freeze right there and stop. And yeah, so let's stop it there. So we're going to go page by page to make sure that you understand what I'm reading to you is what she wrote. All right. So again, it goes like this. This is the first panel. Hey guys, I'm sure many of you are aware of the recent news regarding Deshaun Watson, an athlete I formerly worked with, and many have heard my name mentioned in evidence manipulated to be used against him. The following post serves as my statement regarding the allegations and misinformation that has been circulating around the media. So we will then go to the second of these posts, which I have named as number 3. And there is number 3 there. And then there's, we go back to her, or rather the area in terms of stories. We will allow this to advance. And there is number 2. So we'll stop it there. All right. So that lines up. It should line up. It does not. Let's try that again. And again. There. And there it lines up right there. We'll stop it. And in your page, it should line up there. And there it is. All right. And we will continue to read. This reads as follows. The message thread is a conversation between myself and one of my closest friends. I simply shared that I had already stopped working with Deshaun for reasons unrelated to his current pending case and that the last few months I've been hearing various things from another therapist who has also worked on him several times. However, none of those reasons included any of the accusations he's facing now, as I had no knowledge of any of those allegations prior to the news break. All right. Now, let's move along in the progression where we're at here to there. All right. And let's continue. Reads as follows. I do not know any of the victims personally, nor was the correspondence a shared conversation between a victim and myself. Buzbee is playing a very dirty game to work in favor of his clients. This deceptive use of my unrelated conversation does not change the fact that I haven't had a bad experience with Deshaun Watson. In my 3 years of working with him, he has always been a professional. My reasons for ending our professional relationship were simply due to my personal preference of not liking to work behind other therapists, as many of us don't. Additionally, I have other work and clients that took priority over my shared treatment of Watson and thought it best his other therapists take over. That's what that slide reads. Now, let's continue. And these are entries you can read in Instagram, but they go back fast if you don't want to, pause them or can't for whatever reason. And then here is the next one. regarding the esthetician, to which she goes on to say this. As far as the esthetician, there was an esthetician in September that posted Watson's phone number on her public Instagram page. My warning to Deshaun was that he needs to be more careful who he works with, because he doesn't know everybody's intentions, and some people will use his name for publicity, just as they are now doing. And that ends her entry there. Okay. So, and that's from going back to the origin place here. This is Jas Brooks _. So, and Houston, Texas, as you can see, Master of Science, Impact Muscle Therapy is her other. There it is. She's the owner of Impact Muscle Therapy. Owner Jas Brooks, specializing in restoring the normalization of action potential. She has a master's in kinesiology. She lives in Houston. She was the 2020 Team USA muscle massage therapist. So she's no, fly by night. She's the real deal here, and in business here. So this is very damning. It's very damning against Tony Buzbee. It's very damning to those who are participating in what is obviously a high-tech lynching attempt on Deshaun Watson. And I use those words precisely. To take someone's text message and use them in this way. And Tony Buzbee has actually a history of this sort of activity is beyond the pale. But it also points to something even more beyond the pale in terms of behavior. The possibility that the Texans themselves were responsible for hiring Tony Buzbee to do this. This kind of sophisticated work is normally done in political campaigns. It's done when you want to completely shift how people feel about a person. Consider that on the March 30th date that Ashley Solis claimed she was treated inappropriately by Watson. The previous week, Deshaun Watson was doing what? He was sending money to restaurants in Galveston, Georgia, to various businesses and groups in Houston, Texans, to help survive the coronavirus. And he was doing this on a daily basis. And in fact, he was doing it quite often. And overall, the result were a number of news stories about Watson and how he was helping people in Houston during the coronavirus in March of last year, through via donations. He even got Laremy Tunsil, who was then, offensive tackle. All right. He even got Laremy Tunsil. Check this out. Okay. He even got Laremy Tunsil to donate. And all you have to do is type Watson 2020 donations. Well, here's the link right here, and I'll show you the evidence what I'm talking about. And you can have a look yourself right here. Okay, there. And then I'll enlarge it so you can get a better look at what's being presented. And I'll zoom in. Okay. Lions fans reporting to donate to Watson's charity. That was November 29th. But then look at this. This is by SI itself. Deshaun Watson donates meals to Houston hospitality workers who lost their jobs. That was March 27th, 2020. Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, through his foundation, donated enough meals to feed displaced workers for the next couple of weeks in partnership with the Lee Initiative and Maker's Mark. All right. And it discussed what the Lee Initiative did. This is O'Brien video, has nothing to do with that. And then it reads, Watson's donation will provide hundreds of meals for displaced workers over the next 1 to 2 weeks. As of January 2020, the Houston restaurant industry employed approximately 265,300 employees across 12,000 restaurants, according to the Greater Houston Partnership. And the relief program was announced that Thursday, along with a place to visit online. All money raised from Houston will go directly to feeding Houston hospitality workers in need. The Lee Initiative also has active programs in the various cities listed. Every dollar counts, and we're extremely grateful for Deshaun's donation, Real Chief Owner Ryan Lacte said. We could all use something to smile about right now. He's putting food on the table. A lot of people in Houston need it. Now, how do you overcome that kind of goodwill? In the middle of this goodwill, the same person producing that goodwill is saying that they're going to leave your organization because they don't like the moves that you made. You've essentially given him money and then say, okay, now that we've given you money, you don't make demands, you have to dance and behave. If you go back and look at the tweets of the time, that's exactly what was presented. Everyone was saying, why is he suddenly wanting to leave? Okay. Malper says, man, he just said that Texans could also be liable because he asked for tables and continued for referrals. They should have known something wasn't right, so they're going to investigate. Except here's the thing, Mo Palmer, the texts that you were presented with were taken out of context. All right. So my point is, if you have this concern, I would ask Jasmine about that, since she's willing to go public on her Instagram post. My point is this, folks. Don't believe what you read on the internet. In fact, like Mo Palmer, I don't even know who you are, right? You could be working for Tony Buzbee. That's where things are today. There is no such thing as what I would call clean news in its entirety, because you're on a place where words can be easily manipulated, put together. Someone could take screenshots, put them together and say it's a text to you. And unless you're sophisticated enough to know the difference, you'd be fooled like that. That's why I said this is a high-tech lynching. This is a word that this is a term I'm going to stick to. It is a nothing less than a high-tech lynching attempt. That's where we are with this. And it's sad. It's extremely sad. So we can go on with other evidence. I'm going to stop at about 8 minutes to 7 or thereabouts. But again, my point is, when you have the Houston Chronicle, let me go back to what I was showing you. All right, the Houston Chronicle here. That was Sports Illustrated, as I showed you, right? But then you had the Houston Chronicle as well. Inside Deshaun Watson's week of giving back during the coronavirus. And Lions fans give thank you to donations to Deshaun Watson's foundation. All right. Behind Deshaun Watson and Nike's uniform donation, that was later in November. All right. March 30th. Look at this. March 30th, the very day. I'm going to highlight this. March 30th, 2020 at 11:22 a.m. Deshaun Watson helps feed Houston nurses and restaurant workers. Okay. I mean, there are many scores of examples, all right, of this. Okay. Hey, thank you, Mr. Woodward. Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, the whole point is what you have is a media that today, all right, I don't call myself a journalist. I'm a blogger and a vlogger. I don't claim objectivity at all. Never have. I think that is extremely disingenuous. So my point is that we're in a society today where people code, all right, and on a regular basis, your point of view is being manipulated in ways you're not even aware of. I'm going to give you some proof that might, at its heart, appear to have absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. But in point of fact, it has everything to do with what we're talking about. Everything. And it goes into my point about what you should be aware of and what you should know to watch out for, okay? And it will, and I'm going to pull this up in the share screen area right now, momentarily, so bear with me. But it's something I want you to see. And it's here. And I'm going to go up and introduce it. At first glance, you'll wonder what this is about, the Psi group, okay? Let me scroll down just a little bit so you can get it. It's called Project Rome, all right? Campaign Intelligence and Influence Services Proposal. The Psi group is a group, or was a group, out of Israel. This date, April 26, 2016. The document details services provided by the Psi group for the Lion Project between now and July of the same year. They were asked to produce a proposal, conduct initial mapping and analysis of 5,000 targets. All this, you would say, what is this? I'm going to scroll down to a photo, which is this, okay? Base intelligence dossier on each target, including actionable intelligence, likes, dislikes, areas of interest, inner circles that will serve the outreach and influence team's next phase. Go from the web crawler, scraping websites, applying algorithms, applying sentiment analysis, doing initial sorting, manual enhancement, and then they produce a dossier and then mapping, pro, against, and undecided. Then they decide how they're going to influence you, and they create the language to influence you. They identify targets, reach target audience, influence role. All this, folks, is done online. Do you understand what I'm trying to explain to you? All this is done online. Think about that when you're in a Facebook group and someone happens to message on or put a comment on where you're thinking, where's this person coming from? You might assume they're from the area of the country you're from, and you should do well to investigate their profile, because sometimes they're not. So you might have a group that says, you know, hey, Lake fans or something like that, referring to Lake Merritt in Oakland. But the person that responded is from North Carolina. You're not going to think to look at that person's profile, but it is a public group and anyone can come from anywhere. And people who are launching public relations campaigns, in some cases as sophisticated as what I showed you, know that. Now you're going to wonder where I got this from. And I'm going to show you by way of a related example, and which you can research yourself. And it goes like this. Article here. I'll make sure I'm able to pull up right through here momentarily. As I go through here, bear with me, please. I'm going to stop screen and share it again. The magic of StreamYard. And allow, and voila. Rick Gates sought online manipulation plans from Israel intelligence firm for Trump campaign. The document that I showed you was the proposal that was sent to Rick Gates. If they were hired, and there's evidence that they were, but not necessarily in that way by Rick at that time, their charge is $3.1 million. This is your world today, folks. All right? So we refer to articles and journalism and all that. Throw that out the window. And I'm going to say something a little bit direct to you. Wake the fuck up. Because these manipulation games are done for a purpose that always involves money. Always. And power. In this instance, you had a young African-American man, Deshaun Watson, who became the heart of Houston and the NFL and one of the darlings of the league, who then turns around It exercises its newfound political power through public relations to demand how the team runs itself. Unprecedented. So suddenly you have, frankly speaking, older, white owners under the control of a young, black quarterback who came from little means and rose from poverty to success. Some people, like you and I, would consider that excellent. Even the Texans owners, until they realized that they didn't want to be under his thumb. So what did they do? They injured it away to, at least theoretically, get out from under it. This is here a jumping off point, and it would seem, although there's not as much evidence as I would like to prove it, it's only circumstantial right at this point, but it would seem that the Houston Texans hired Tony Buzbee to do just that. It also seems that Buzbee conspired with a group of massage therapists, or at least one or two, that, for reasons best known to themselves, wanted to take money from Deshaun Watson. The NFL has records, scores of massage therapists who've tried to do this to people. Great stars like, well, in the Bay Area with the 49ers during their heyday, and I don't want to drop any names, but you can figure out who they are, and others, have been the focus of these many events. I've had a number of fans that watch my program tell me about rings of women in the Bay Area who specifically look out for young black NFL players to get close to. They have books on them. They know what they like and dislike and everything else. None of this is talked about anywhere near as much as it should be. And the NFL really should have an organizational mechanism by which it can protect its young players. These players come out of school, they don't know anything about the stuff that I've just showed you. Remember those NFL rookie symposiums that basically consist of an older, black NFL player, yelling at the young rookies about what not to do? It doesn't work. Because at the end of the day, what they need is an infrastructure to protect them. I remember when my friend Kofi Bonner, we went to Cal together. We both got our master's degrees at Cal. Now he's working with for Bedrock, he's CEO of Bedrock, which is owned by the owner, of the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I digress. We were at the Atlantic Grill here in Houston, in Atlanta, where the Super Bowl was in 2000. There was Tim Couch, and I've told this story before, but it's worth recounting. Tim Couch was walking by, and Couch was about to be the choice of his Cleveland Browns. Again, he was chief administrative officer. He said, "You see that, Zenny? We're not letting anybody get to him. He's bookended. He's got one in front, one in back, one to the side." They're protecting him from people who might treat him inappropriately, people who might do anything. They provided a wall of protection, literally a physical wall of protection around him. The NFL needs to have something like that, a team of licensed massage therapists that are for the NFL, Team NFL, for example, that players only use them. If they go outside of it, they should be some sort of incentive to discourage them from doing so, so that they don't run afoul of bad people. There are a lot of bad people, particularly in the middle of a dang-on pandemic, trying to figure out how to scheme their way to make money. At the end of the day, the league, by protecting these players, protects the brand. It protects the shield. Right now, there's no protection of the shield. And it's not enough to say, well, Deshaun did this, because first of all, there's no evidence he did. All right? Let me get your comments here. Yeah. And thank you. Yeah. And You're all in cahoots with one another for control purposes. Yeah. But yeah, thank you, Mr. Compton. Thank you. I don't present this with glee. It's very sad. It's very sad. Okay. So do true and now. Well, here's the thing. Again, when someone comes forward, I would be, if I were you, on the lookout for somebody else. Because remember what Ms. Brooks said. First of all, this is very chilling. I do not know, she writes, of any of the victims personally, nor how was the correspondence a shared conversation between a victim and myself. I am unsure how my texts to a friend got taken out of context, sent around, and used for this situation. And she continues, Buzbee is playing a very dirty game and manipulating words to work in favor of his clients. This deceptive use of my unrelated conversation does not change the fact that I haven't had a bad experience with Deshaun Watson. In my 3 years of working with him, he has always been professional. My reasons for ending our professional relationship were simply due to my personal preference of not liking to work behind other therapists, as many of us don't. Additionally, she writes, I have other clients, that took priority over my shared treatment of Watson and thought it best his other therapists take over. As far as the esthetician, she continues, there was an esthetician in September that posted Watson's phone number on her public Instagram page. My warning to Deshaun was that he needs to be more careful who he works with because he doesn't know everybody's intentions, and some people will use his name for publicity just as they are now doing. All right? I don't know how much, okay? He says, you're way too real, my bro. Well, this is serious. These are serious attempts to smear a black man. And to me, this is on a par with Amy Cooper threatening to call the police on Chris Cooper because he simply in Central Park asked her to put a leash on her, rather crazy dog. And then you saw she was holding the dog like she was going to wring the dog's neck. That was awful. Remember that? Why did we see all that? Because Chris Cooper had his smartphone with him. Were it not for his video, it is quite possible the New York police would have arrested him for no reason and put him in jail simply because of her allegations. And I remind everybody of Emmett Till. Emmett Till was said to have just said something, flirtatious to a white woman. Miss Parent, I believe her name was. Well, guess what? Years later, after 1955 and his horrible murder and disfigurement, she gives an interview that appears in Vanity Fair and admits that she told a lie. All right? So again, the whole purpose of this is to make you aware of how people can attempt to manipulate your point of view and how there are some people who do want to see black men regarded as less than or predators and everything else for their own purposes, their own sinister purposes. All right. He says, there are very flagrant attempts to destroy his reputation and stock as an NFL player for his future. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I leave you with that. It's 7:02 in the East, and I thank you. Oh, by the way, Mr. Compton says, you present the realness of things as regards latest news, sports, and so on. If a lot of people were smart, they would check your show. Good. Thank you, Mr. Compton. Good job. Thank you. All I ask is that people be very discerning about what they read. And by the way, do the world a favor. If you're going to post something on Twitter, use your real name, because too often we have people using, number names, and they respond. And check this out. They respond with 0 followers, and they're not following anybody, which looks like a troll account. If you're doing that, please stop. Please stop doing it. And do not fear to investigate for yourself, because the mainstream media, as we've come to define it today, isn't doing it. And let me explain something else to you. All right. And I'm going to take a little more time, because I want this, what I'm about to show you, to hit absolutely home. So I need your undivided attention. Okay. You might be under the impression that organizations like, for example, the Houston Chronicle are, the centers of journalism, completely objective and without bias. Okay. And they would never, ever at all, you would never see that they would bother to engage in anything like reputation management, which is what my company, Zenny62 Media, openly does. We don't hide, right? So you see the Houston Chronicle website, you see no evidence of that, right? But you would never think, you would never at all think to take a look, all right, and see an organization and a website called Hearst Media Services. Media experts, they say. All right? They're media experts. Web presence and branding. Okay. And what else? Behavioral targeting. Didn't we see that before? Remember I showed you the Sign Group proposal? And reputation management. And then, hey, folks, take a look at this. Search engine marketing. Hey, we do that. All right. But look down here. And what do you see? Ooh, let's read them, folks. The Houston Chronicle is there, right? The Houston Chronicle. What else? What else? What else? Okay. San Antonio Express News, the San Francisco Chronicle, the Times Union, ctpost.com, cron.com, ooh, Seattle, pi.com, SF Gate. Hey, I had a blog over there, City Brights area, timesunion.com, Local Edge, Connecticut Post, the New Times, the Advocate, Greenwich Time, Beaumont Enterprise. And not only that, if you click on one of them like that, okay, what happens? All right, it takes you to Hearst Media. Oh, this is interesting. Let's take a look at this. It takes you to Hearst Media San Antonio Media Works. Advertise with us. What's your SEO score? All right. This is the real way today that media makes money. Why? Because everybody knows you can't make enough money between advertising and paywalls to sustain a news business today. That's why. That's why. Wake up, folks. This is the real deal that I'm showing you. Okay? Wake up, Alice. This is Wonderland. All right? Hearst Media Services. Check it out. Right there. Check it out. All right? And did you hear that story about David Brooks of the New York Times and how he was getting paid under the table? Famous columnist. All right? Deshaun Watson is innocent until proven guilty. That's the owners in the NFL for you. He's one of the best quarterbacks out there on their own market. Sure is. So, folks, Hearst Media Services, check it out. Okay? And it's fair to ask them, hey, are you, hey, look, are you working on for a client when you write a certain thing? I mean, What's going on? This is Hearst. These are their publications. Don't be fooled. And they're not the only ones. Look at everything you do with the discerning eye. That's why I say, look, I have a bias to show what's going on with Watson because I can see it. And it's wrong. And there are a number of black men who not in my business. They don't understand how to look at this at all. Okay? Me? Yes, I hope so. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Zenny62.com. And by the way, if you have any tips, I am putting my oh, you want me to post that site? Hold on a second. I'll do that. Hold on a second, Dave. Okay. This is my email for any news tips. All right. Now, Dave asked me to post the this is Hearst Media Services. I will do that right now. And here it is, Hearst Media Service, excuse me. HearstMediaServices.com. Right there. Okay. And I've actually blogged about this before. This is not the first time I've mentioned Hearst Media Services at all. In fact, unless I miss my I have to actually do that because I have tried to tell people about these guys, but it looks like I'm going to have to make some adjustments here. And I'll take care of it because I did have them here as news at one point, but it's been so long since I posted anything and I haven't locked in what I put together that it's not visible here. There it is. Okay, it is. All right, let me show you something, folks, because this is not the first time I've talked about this. You see it right there. There, see, okay? It's not the first time I've talked about this. Okay, all you got to do is, in quotations, Hearst Media Services, Zenny62, Online Reputation Management Publicity Services, because they're my competitor. All right? I've talked about this repeatedly. All right? We compete against organizations like Hearst Media Services and Buzbee. All right? The difference is simple. We're open about it. Dinner time, folks. We'll see you. That ends this broadcast. Spread it around in social media. Show people this. Tweet it, retweet it, post it on Facebook, everywhere. Take a screenshot on Instagram. Tell people about what you just saw. See ya.